Hello and welcome. I'm Deb Swanson. I'll be your host for this session. It is with a great honor that I introduce three outstanding faculty members from the Forbes School of Business and Technology. We have Dr. Karen Ivey with us. She's the Department Chair of Technology Studies. We also have Dr. Jorge Cardenas, and he's the Department Chair of Professional Studies. And we have Mr. Bill Davis, Lead Faculty and Assistant Professor. And here's their presentation. They are presenting on artificial intelligence in education. Are you ready for it?
Deb, thank you very much. I'll go ahead and take it from here. And let's just talk a little bit about artificial intelligence. Are you ready for it? So what is artificial intelligence, AI? Artificial intelligence is a concept referring to computing hardware being able to basically think for itself and make decisions based on the data that is being fed. It is the theory and development of computer systems able to perform tasks that normally require human intelligence, such as visual perception, speech, recognition, decision-making, and translation between languages. You know, our world is, as we know it, is running on artificial intelligence right now. For example, Siri manages our calendars. Facebook suggests our friends. Computers trade our stocks. We have cars that park themselves and air traffic control that is almost fully automated. Virtually every field has benefited from advances in artificial intelligence, from the military to medicine to manufacturing. Some things you would do yourself or call someone about or visit a physical location for help with can now be easily done by a computer. Think Siri or Google now and Cortana as examples. Other examples, whenever you use a traffic or a GPS app to navigate your way to work or a friend's house, AI has a hand in the route, and it suggests using extensive amounts of data from smartphones about speed, routes, and traffic incidents. When you're calling a Uber, both the pricing and the car that matches your ride requests are decided by AI. So how does AI impact education? Next slide, please. It's expected that artificial intelligence in the United States education will grow 47.5% from 2017 to 2021. Kindergarten to graduate school, one of the key ways artificial intelligence will impact education is through the application of greater levels of individualized learning. Some of this is already happening through growing numbers of adaptive learning programs, through games and software. Artificial intelligence and education market by an end user industry includes higher education, K through 12 education, corporate learning. AI could have a greater impact on education than it could in almost any other industry, in part because it could power the next generation of education technology. More powerful educational tools will enable the children of the future to receive more personalized lessons and ultimately improve educational outcomes. Next slide, please. Artificial intelligence is poised to transform higher education and drive superior student outcomes through customizable, inclusive approaches to learning, productive learning, and teaching behavior, and increased behavior, and increased institutional effectiveness, Artificial intelligence is at the heart of the digital disruption across nearly every industry. According to the IDC, by 2019, 40% of digital transformation, DX, initiatives will be supported by AI capabilities, providing timely, critical insights, richer, immersive user experiences, and driving improved outcomes. IDC forecasts that global AI spending will reach $97.9 billion by 2023. According to IDC's AI Global Survey conducted in May of 2019, the top 5 business drivers to adopt AI, artificial intelligence, in the education sector include improvement in efficiency. Number 2, better student engagement. Number 3, higher competitiveness. And number four, accelerated innovation and higher funding. So with that said, I'd like to turn it now over to my colleague, Dr. Karen Ivey.
Thank you, Bill. So when we think about artificial intelligence and education, let's look at what's going on in the real world today and also take a sneak peek into the future. So for today and tomorrow's students, artificial intelligence will be fundamental in the classroom. That's actually a good thing, and not just because of the educational value, but because of all of the benefits that artificial intelligence will bring. It will play a very increasingly important role across all of our society as well as in the course room. So we are going to look at some of the ways that artificial intelligence is very important in our industry today. Let's look at artificial intelligence transforming the student experience. Well, this is currently happening in several areas and will begin to happen for several universities in a lot of different ways. Artificial intelligence is used to track student data, mining millions of pieces of student data, sometimes every student ID card swipe, every click of a computer, how quickly they respond to a professor's email, and all the effort to boost graduation rates. All of this metadata, big data, as we know it in the industry, is used through artificial intelligence to improve the student experience. It's used by institutions for enrollment trends, for optimizing recruitment efforts, for predicting learner behavior, for automating grading and other tasks that instructors do so that more time can be spent interacting with the students in the classroom and outside of the classroom as well. Institutions will likely leverage AI to better automate and streamline accreditation and compliance activities as well. Some of the application uses of artificial intelligence that is in place some places and will be in place soon in other universities includes institutional use, as I had mentioned, enrollment trends, optimizing recruitment, etc. Student support. Artificial intelligence is used to actually provide additional communications to students so that they will not wait for an advisor to contact them or to be able to speak directly with an advisor, but they can actually receive 24/7 support using artificial intelligence. And AI keeps track of what questions that the student asked before, what areas of interest did the student have before, so that it can even predict and provide information that's valuable to the student experience. Predictive analytics is another way that institutions are using artificial intelligence and using that enrollment trend information, recruiting information to predict what geographic areas are students more interested in certain degree programs for the university, how well are students performing from different areas as well. All types of information can be used in predictive analytics using artificial intelligence. And then the fourth type of application in education is now possible for students, for teachers to automate grading. And just think about it, all instructors and professors who are tuned in with us today, the time that it may take to go through grading, especially for larger classes. AI first started off grading quizzes and yes/no types of surveys or assignments, but now we've advanced where AI can grade essays and papers. Quite a time-saving venture. Well, another way that AI is revolutionizing online education is differentiating the experience for students, individualizing that experience. And so when we think about technologies like artificial intelligence, machine learning, and education software, they're not just changing the field for students, they're shaking up the role of educators, creating philosophical shifts and approaches to teaching and remodeling the classroom. So artificial intelligence can help to customize the experience for the student. And how can it do it? It can keep track of what subjects that the student have more difficulty in excelling in grasping. It can keep track of that and then offer additional subject-related material to assist the student to better understand that subject. So if I'm taking a course and Bill is taking a course and Jorge as well, we are all progressing through the course, but maybe I need just a little bit more explanation of a couple of subjects than they do. AI will allow the university to customize my learning experience so that I receive that additional information. In the industry, we know this as well as adaptive learning. And so artificial intelligence helps to revolutionize and advance the whole adaptive learning platform, personalizing the learning experience for the students. That's really aggressive. That's really placing the student in a control of my learning environment position, where the student can know that I can get more from my learning environment if I don't have to wait for a teacher to get back with me whenever I have a question, even if it is 11:39 p.m. at night. I can get those answers since my course room is established with artificial intelligence and my university has this capability. Very interesting. Another way that artificial intelligence is revolutionizing education is providing artificial intelligent tutors and instructor assistants. And so how does it happen? Well, as students go through courses, we know what types of information the students are asking because we have personalized learning activities now for students. AI captures that information. And so therefore, the artificial intelligent students, robots, the technology is available to provide that additional assistance to students. This is very, very valuable because when we think of our online environment, when we think of even traditional schools in the larger classroom interface 7 for the student as they're going through the course rooms. Very revolutionary, very, very beneficial as well. And then another direction for artificial intelligence that is really, really catching on is using artificial intelligence in simulation software to improve the educational experience. And also on the institutional side of the fence, using that to capture information that's very, very beneficial to the student. This is an area that several universities are already applying. And they're applying this so that, again, they can capture additional information, provide it to the student to assist the student in learning the subject matter that's at hand. We already know that several universities are adding gaming features and simulations into the classroom. You add on top of that artificial intelligence that helps to track the learning pathway of students, where students are grasping various subjects, where they need additional attention into the simulation game. And that provides that institution a large leg up and assisting the individualized learning experience for the student. So in higher education management, machine learning techniques like big data, artificial intelligence applications can incrementally perform simulations and predictions as well. Gathering this big data allows the institution to see trending, to see where high and low performances are, to predict even where curriculum needs changing, and to ensure that that information is effective once it is moved into place. Artificial intelligence brings all of those areas to the university to increase the analysis capability of that university in supporting the student. And then the final area that we wanted to review with you is the use of chatbots. Chatbots are so important to the artificial intelligence environment because this is where the 24/7 support comes in. The university is allowed to provide to students. No longer is the student waiting for information from the student-facing organizations when they want to enroll in the school, even before being a student with the university, asking information about the university, degree programs, even courses. Artificial intelligence allows the students to receive this information on their cell phone, iPad, computer, any digital platform. Also, tutoring. Chatbots are used in tutoring directions as well. So just imagine you're teaching your course. You know that students are asking various questions repetitively within the course that can be beneficial to new students going through that course. Artificial intelligence allows the system to capture that information, have those answers available for the student, even predict if the student is asking a certain line of questions. It allows the system to prompt information that can assist a student to better understand the subject matter that they are studying in the course room. Artificial intelligence takes us from where we are today to the next level, very revolutionizing our online and traditional learning experience. But there is something that we do want to think about with artificial intelligence and with any technology that we go into. And Dr. Cardenas is going to step us through with the benefits of AI. What are the perils that we should be aware of as well? Dr. Cardenas.
Thank you, Dr. Ivy. So as you said, if you decide to implement AI, there are some dangers that you should be mindful of and try to avoid. Next slide, please. So one of them is adverse outcomes due to poor quality of data. So, as you can imagine, data varies in quality. It may be old, it might be outdated, or it might be focused on or drawn from a subset of the population that may not align with the students being targeted. So that's number one. The second one is, developers' decisions shape how the insights that AI systems offer are instructed and interpreted. So it is important to understand in advance what you want to do with the information that these tools are providing. The third one is that teachers and staff must understand not only their benefits, the AI system's benefits, but also their limitations. Schools need to create very clear protocols for what employees should do when algorithmic evaluations or recommendations do not align with their professional judgment. They must have clear criteria about when it is appropriate to follow or override computer insights to prevent unfair inconsistencies. The last one is with respect to the use of artificial intelligence throughout higher education. So there are various legal considerations, mostly involving different bodies of privacy and data protection laws. So federal student privacy legislation is focused on ensuring that institutions, number one, get consent to disclose personally identifiable information, and number two, to give students the ability to access their information and challenge what they think is incorrect. Again, it's important that, before you begin to implement AI, that you're mindful of these three potential perils. Next slide, please. So in implementing AI, you should also ask yourself some additional questions. Next slide, please, Karen. So what functions does the data perform? You can't just see a red and green or yellow light as an example about student success and take that for face value. So, as someone that's evaluating or receiving information, it's important to understand, what's the computer generating and how does it generate that specific feedback. Number two, what decisions don't we see? These are the decisions not just about the computer processing that I briefly mentioned, but also about the categorization and the visualization of that processing. Number three, who controls the content? This is important. Is it you or is it the technology provider? How comfortable are you as a faculty member, as an administrator, and how comfortable are your professors with that? Number four, how do we check outcomes in terms of efficacy, in terms of distribution, and in terms of positive and negative outcomes? So what does a successful AI integration look like for you? So these are questions that you should be asking yourself. Number five, what gets lost in datification? So first, let's define datification. Datification is the transformation of social action into online quantified data that allows for real-time tracking and predictive analytics, similar to exactly what the definition of AI that Karen provided. So, the main point here is that, in the process of datification of processes and behaviors, not all of those kind of subtle behaviors might be captured when that happens. So it's important to know, again, how that data is generated and what exactly it captures. And lastly, what and whose interests do we prioritize? Going back to number three, is it professors or the technology providers? So you need to ask yourself, whose interest is this data serving? Next slide, please. So these are some other elements to also consider. The first one is procurement of AI products or systems. It's important to pay close attention to the technologies and companies that will be most applicable to your learning organization in terms of contractual obligations to provide data about your students. Make sure that if problems arise, you have contracted with that company, that they'll be responsive to your problems. With respect to training, it's important to prepare those people who are going to implement and use these tools and train them in the benefits and shortcomings of the tools. So, similar to any other type of technology integration. Number three, oversight. It's important to put in place a continuous process of examining your AI tools, the outcomes, and the processes. Look at whether the tools are working, whether they're more effective for particular groups of students, and whether they might be giving better numbers but not better outcomes. So this is something that is difficult and time consuming, but it's very important because these tools can get outdated fairly quickly. Number four, policies and principles. So it's important to create institutional policies surrounding the implementation of tools that rely on analytics and cultivate principles that translate those policies into operational steps and actions. So again, one thing is, policies and principles related to, easily implementing systems, but also taking into account policies that, that account for difficult or specific legal considerations that I described previously. So the last one is participation. It's important to get students and faculty members' input about their concerns and what they would like to see from these systems. This step is often overlooked because it is messy and can lead to some controversy, but it generally creates a better result in the long term. Again, when you're creating any type of system, it's always best to get feedback from the user. So it speaks to that point. So now I would like to open it up to see if we have any questions from our audience.
As we look for questions from our audience, I would just like to throw a question out there for us to actually address. So as we look at technology such as artificial intelligence and incorporating that into our university, how do we deal with faculty or even administration who may not be ready for it? What would you guys, my peers, suggest with the best way to move forward with technology that we know would be beneficial for us?
Karen, I'm going to just inject something here because I really love that question. And I just would like to say that, going through this entire process with you and Jorge and seeing these slides again and repetitively doing it, that it really does sharpen my conceptual picture of technology, of the value of it, as well as the things to watch out for when you implement it. So to me, the suggestion I would have is to take a presentation like this or something similar to this, and share this recording perhaps, or target this to certain programmatic areas, etc., because I really think it provides an outstanding, it conceptualizes the whole concept very, very well. So I would be remiss if I didn't inject that into the conversation.
Yeah, good question, Dr. Ivy. So, I always look for benchmarks, right? So what are best examples of the use of specific technology tools such as AI? So, once you identify, those benchmarks, and show how they are really being leveraged by other, universities to meet the needs of the institution and the students, and, it's easier to convince your own institution to do something similar. So, providing kind of, a presentation about, about those benchmarks in an effort to try to build consensus and ultimately invest in these types of technologies.
I think both of your suggestions are really, really great. The benchmarking part is important also. So as Bill said, introduce the subject to your audience within your institution, share examples, as Dr. Jorge mentioned, as far as what have other universities done. One of the good things with artificial intelligence is we have a good number of universities who have already taken the step. And so it's very easy, and a lot of universities are even sharing via YouTube or go to their website. They are sharing examples of come and see what we're doing. Come and see how we're using AI, where our individuals can do a virtual tour of our campus even before they step one foot on the campus and get questions answered. That would be very beneficial as they're trying to decide, do I want to attend this university or to attend another one? Or do I want to step into this degree program or look at another degree program also? Institutions are already using AI, so we have a good example within the industry, examples all over the place that universities can consider when they want to look at those benchmarks. And even look at how beneficial using the big data plus artificial intelligence to do predictive trending and analysis is working for the university also.
Karen, there's been some interest in the chat of getting a copy of the slide deck. I think you had mentioned that earlier on. Would you like to share that with me and I'll get that out to them?
Yes, I would definitely share the slide deck. The slide deck actually has some of the notes that we all spoke to as well. Very informative. And so I will pass that to you, Deb, so you can share that out with attendees.
Okay, that'd be wonderful. Thank you.
Karen, I also feel that the PowerPoint builds awareness to the things that some of the things we're already currently doing in our system, and to help us see that even clearer. As Jorge talked and you spoke, it helps me see even deeper into the process and how we are using AI. So I think that's a big win. It is something to build on.
Awesome. So in closing, I'm going to ask Dr. Cartness, artificial intelligence in education. Are you ready for it?
I don't think we have a choice, but yes, I'm ready.
Okay. How about you, Bill? Are you ready for it?
I'm ready for it. I'm ready to stand on your shoulders and Dr. Cardenas' shoulders to see more. So absolutely.
All right.
We need to compete.
Yes, we do. And I'm ready for it as well. So we'd like to thank everyone for attending our session. And if you have any follow-up questions for either of us, don't hesitate to get in contact with us. You'll see in the PowerPoint, we're sharing our email address. So don't hesitate to send any questions or any way we may be of assistance to you as well as you take the leap and integrate artificial intelligence in your learning environment.
Karen,
Thanks, everybody.
Karen, one final point, something that you closed on in a prior presentation that I absolutely loved. Let's evolve and let's get involved.
Exactly. That's what we all need to do.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you,
Yeah,
everyone.
Thank you, Karen,
Thank
Bill,
you for attending.
Jorge, and thank you to everyone for attending. We appreciate your wonderful presentation. There is more workshops coming up for TLC, so feel free to join us as we wrap up the afternoon. And again, thank you for the wonderful presentation.
Thank you, Deb.
Thank you for managing, Deb. Appreciate it.
See ya.
Bye-bye.